Up until a few days ago, I had a job lined up where I could use my commercial driving license for an over-the-road trucking position. It was a good company, it paid well, and then at the last minute, right before I was supposed to start, they had a hiring freeze. And despite the fact that I was already in their system, I'd already passed everything, I just needed to be trained. Apparently, the bosses at the company decided that they were going to completely freeze new hires, and that included people that were about to start the training process. So that has left me without a job. Unfortunately, this happened right after I quit my last job, and so I had my last day, and then a few days later I was notified that I did not, after all, have a new job lined up. And so I pretty quickly had to decide what I was going to do. The first thing that I did was I started flex driving again pretty much immediately because I wasn't quite sure what I was doing and how long I would have to be doing it. And so I fired up the Amazon Flex app and started flex driving. I don't make as much doing that as I did at my previous job, but it's really perfect for this type of situation. And I have to say, I do prefer driving flex over driving for the DSP vans. Amazon is just a lot nicer to flex drivers for whatever reason, and it's been a decent experience, just obviously I don't make as much money. So despite being jobless, I'm not without an income or anything. I have an income, and it's enough to live on, just barely, but it's good enough for me to make a transition to something else. I definitely could have asked for my old job back again, and that would have worked out, but there are some other issues that I was starting to encounter, and it has to do with my address. Again, the company that I was about to work for definitely banned people from using things like South Dakota residencies. I don't think it's up to the company as much as it is they are afraid of the federal regulations that they're under. And I don't think, at least the way the rules are being applied right now, that the federal government is allowing people to use things like South Dakota or Texas or Florida residencies when they don't have an actual physical address attached to them as valid residencies for professional certifications, including CDL drivers. So I had talked to the company about this ahead of time, and I was planning to move anyways, and they didn't think there was going to be any problem with that, so I was thinking I'd just get someplace really cheap in some other part of the country. But after the hiring freeze, obviously I couldn't do that, and that means that I had to come up with a new plan. This lovely tiny house that I've been living in for the last couple of months is going up for sale at the end of the month, and I need to be out of here. So this isn't really an option for me to stay here, and so what that means is I need to find a new place to live. At first I was thinking of looking for just another place locally, or maybe a little bit closer to where I was working, but the rents are just so extreme in this area, it's ridiculous, and it's only gotten worse. So I came up with a new plan. I started looking at other places in the country, and there are other places in the country with apartments for rent that are 2 to 3 times less, and I can make the same amount of money using my commercial driving license. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Truck drivers are in high demand right now. Maybe not so much for over the road, but for local drivers. There are lots of opportunities even for entry-level drivers like myself. So within a day of finding out that I lost the job I was about to start, I had another interview lined up for a new job already. And so next week, I'm going to start interviewing at new jobs that are nowhere near Washington State. And in fact, they are all halfway across the country where the cost of living is less than half of what it is here. But my income will actually be substantially higher. Within the next couple of weeks, I am going to be packing up all my stuff here. I'm going to pack up anything that I need out of the storage unit, and then I will be heading out. And it feels like it's kind of like taking a risk, but the fact is I already have an income and I can flex drive basically anywhere, at least near any city in the country. So that's what I'm going to do while I'm making the transition, if I don't already have a job lined up somewhere else, which at this point, I might have a job lined up somewhere else in the country. I don't know where I'm going to be going yet because I applied to jobs in several different cities around the country, but I am extremely mobile. I can throw everything that's mine in my car and leave this tiny house and hit the road. It's going to be a kind of crazy adventure, especially driving across the country in the middle of winter, but it should be completely worth it. So doing the math on apartments and stuff in other parts of the country, I will probably have to rent an apartment somewhere else, but that is totally okay with me because I am going to be going for the highest paying truck driving jobs that I can, even if it's going to be a lot of work. But it doesn't matter too much what the job is because I won't have to do it for very long. My focus, of course, is paying off debt, and with a much higher income I can get at most of these local jobs, I should be able to pay off my debt in a fairly short amount of time. At this point, debt is the only thing that's keeping me from working for myself and traveling a lot more. So it needs to go. I just don't see any way around it, and this is the fastest way to get rid of that debt. Once that debt's gone, then I have way more options. So I do feel like I have a somewhat crazy plan, but as long as I have this income from flex driving and I have a new job lined up, I should be good to go. And I couldn't be happier to finally get out of Washington State, and I am happy that I no longer have to work at my old job.